Hello, and welcome to the Three Questions podcast, where we dive deep into the world of wealth management and connect you with industry experts. I'm your host, Wayne Baxter, Senior Executive Manager at One Capital Management. Are you or someone close to you a baby boomer with significant real estate portfolio and thinking about succession planning? Well, if that's the case, stay tuned. We're going to be addressing the three questions baby boomers should ask about their real estate portfolio. Thank you for taking time to check us out. And if you enjoyed this episode of the Three Questions podcast, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our podcast and YouTube channels. On today's episode, we're going to be tackling some important issues facing a key demographic, one that I'm personally very familiar with, baby boomers, and specifically baby boomers who own substantial real estate portfolios. Now, as baby boomers age, many find themselves navigating critical decisions about their real estate holdings, and these individuals may have accumulated significant wealth through residential, commercial, or investment properties. But now, here they are. They face unique challenges, and joining me to help address these questions, the three questions baby boomers should ask about their real estate portfolio from beautiful Agoura Hills, California, is my friend Bruce Stein, aka the Paladin of Real Estate, with Real Property Partners. Bruce, thanks for making time to join us today. Great to see you.
Hi, Wayne. Great to see you. It's a beautiful day today in Agoura Hills. Thank you for allowing me to speak with you about this important topic.
Absolutely. Now, you and I have talked about this. I've known Bruce now, I hate to say it, about 10 years now, I think, probably. And, this is a conversation we've had more than once, obviously. Many baby boomers who are facing this dilemma of, how do they manage their real estate holding at this stage of their lives, right? And a lot of them, and we talked about this, are doing it without any kind of real comprehensive wealth management strategy, right? And quite frankly, before they can even begin to implement a wealth management strategy, they really need to decide, how they're going to manage their real estate property going forward, right? And I'm sure this is, I'm preaching to the choir with you, but I'd be interested in your insight regarding the conversations you've had, with your clients, your baby boomer clients, regarding their real estate portfolios and really what they should do next.
Okay, well, let's put it in a little bit of a context. Most of my clients, all they've done is real estate investing their entire life. They don't know anything else. They really don't invest in the stock market. They invest in themselves because that's what they believe in. And over, 40, 50 years, they always try to avoid capital gain taxes. So they're doing 1031 exchanges. And what happens is over, their course of their life, they now own what I call a hodgepodge of real estate. They may own a 12-unit apartment building in St. Louis. They may own a little strip center. And because of the 1031 exchanges where they have to find properties so quickly, they buy a property that sometimes they're not thinking, is this going to fit in my portfolio? How will it fit? Is it management intense? So I come in and I look at their portfolio and I said, the first question I always ask them is, if you die tomorrow, what do your heirs inherit? Is it management intense or is it what I call mailbox rent? And we kind of look at that portfolio and we kind of look and say, what do you do? Do you hold? Do you sell? Do you refinance? Taking into consideration, have you gifted any money to your children? Have you thought about death taxes? So those are the type of things. But most of them don't think more than what they're getting right now. And everything is inside their head. So they don't really have a plan. The only person who may know about their real estate holdings is their accountant because they prepare tax returns.
Hopefully their estate planning attorney too, if they have one. God hoping.
Most of the time they have it in an LLC, but may not be always in their estate. So those are all the things that I think bringing in wealth advisors also is very important for them to really see how their overall
Yeah,
portfolio.
I get the idea of the LLCs because there's a liability protection there, but having an estate planning attorney is always advisable for the big picture. Um, well, you know what? We're going to be discussing again the three questions baby boomers should be asking about their real estate portfolios. And again, this conversation today, I'm going to tell you right now, is full of valuable information. And I think, Bruce, we should just get right to our questions. So, again, these questions are from the lens of a real estate investor, baby boomer like myself, like Bruce. Question number one: I am thinking about my succession plan. When should I bring my adult children into the discussion in regards to my real estate portfolio? Bruce, your thoughts?
As soon as possible. I, I have unfortunately worked for a large family office, and we had a very large real estate portfolio, and the owner had four children and tried to get them involved. When he died, the four children said, "We don't want the real estate, we want the money. Let's sell." This was in 2010, not a great time. And that's part of the
No,
problem
like
is,
probably one of the worst times. How about?
so, the lesson I learned is that if you can't get your children engaged and understand what they're really looking for, then you've got to plan for it accordingly. So my feeling is bring your children in as soon as possible. You don't have to get into, hey, I got a $50 million portfolio, but you should be talking about, I get my wealth through real estate and it's all over the place. I would love for you to know more about it. Uh, and, let's have a conversation over time. But first of all, the question the parent should be asking their children is, do you want to own the real estate or are you going to look to liquidate? And if they're going to want to liquidate, then he should be making adjustments to his portfolio now that are properties that could be sold no matter what the timing is. Because what people don't understand is today may be a great time to sell an apartment building. 18 months from now, the market may change. So timing is always critical. So, having your children informed today can help the owner decide what properties maybe should I sell now and have something that's easier to sell than something that's not. And because they're
Makes
gonna,
perfect
yeah,
sense. Again, I can segue that back to when I'm working with my clients in terms of the estate planning. Again, I talked about earlier, and you know you would be surprised how many times the parents really don't know what the kids are thinking about, especially if it's a established, if their children are already well established, because parents a lot of times they will have a mindset of well, I need to make sure I leave something for of a legacy, right? And the kids will go back to them and say, don't worry about us, we're well taken care of. Enjoy this money. Do have fun with it. You don't have to worry about us, right? So having those conversations early on, make sure that you plan the right way. So well done. So the great answer to question number one, as soon as possible, as in now.
yes.
Question number two for Bruce. What do I do if my children don't want to own my real estate? Again, so off of question number one, when we bring our children in, question number two, you have the conversation and you find out, look, dad or mom, I really don't want to get involved with your real estate holdings. As you said, I just want the cash. I really don't want to get involved.
At that point, I think they have to then identify what properties maybe to sell. I mean, they don't want to pay capital gains, so they could do a 1031 exchange, and they can buy another property, but have it be what I call absolute triple net, or they can even invest in a Delaware statutory trust. This is something that is not management intent. So God forbid if the father or the mother passes away in 3 years, then the children at least have first of all, the rent's going to come in no matter what. They're not going to have to be calling up tenants. Where's the money because
Hmm.
of the unique nature of it. And also they're easier to sell. So a lot of times you just have to identify, okay, I want to sell these properties. I would also say you want to look at what the debt is against the property. Sometimes you want to maybe take some money out and set it aside and, for death taxes, because, that's something else that the children are going to have to deal with, and they got to pay that rather quickly. And if they don't identify where that cash is coming from, that can be even a bigger problem for them to have. So the real key is try to go from what I call, you got to be on the phone call, you got to have a property manager managing your properties, to no, just try to come up with, absolute triple net properties or Delaware statutory trust. You don't have to manage them anymore. The cash is going to come in, and then if your children inherit it, you get a step up in basis, but they don't have to. The rent just going to come in monthly, and those type of properties are easier to sell than like a 30-unit apartment building. You don't need a broker almost at that point. You can just almost, you made your children's lives easier than complicated. And that's the goal that I try to make them see is, how do you love your children? Do you want their lives to be easy, or do you want them to, have challenges?
Most families hopefully will pick the A over B.
Yeah.
Okay, so leading into the third question, you've done a great job here, kind of leading us along here. Question number three, when should I start selling my management intense property? And on that note, Bruce, maybe we could start with identifying what you mean, or what this person means by management intense properties. What are some examples?
Well, it's like the three T's: termites, tenants, trash, kind of type of thing. If you got multiple tenants, you got to chase them down because sometimes they're delinquent. You're dealing, with, if you're renting single family homes, but you could have termites coming. I mean, what I'm talking about, things that you just out of control. So if you have to manage day to day, you got to make sure your utilities, your insurance, all of these things are current. Your tenants are paying, lease rollover. Those things are management intense. Most of the time, people will have a third party manager dealing. If you've got an apartment building or a retail center, those things require somebody to be focusing on the tenant. They're going to have problems. They're going to say, my toilet's not working, air conditioning broke down. Hey, why aren't you mowing my lawn? Hey, the place is looking bad. And then vice versa, if you're running, like, you got a lot of people have single family portfolio. They own 20, 25 homes and they're renting them out. They've got to maintain those on a regular basis. That's management intense. So if you went and bought a triple net property, it's a single tenant. Let's say it's a Walgreens, or even a it's one tenant. They pay everything. They have to maintain the building. They have to maintain the roof, the air conditioning. They're doing everything. And all you do is you get a rent
You're
check
collecting
each
the
month.
coupon.
It's a coupon. Yeah, you're not going to have rents going up or down, but you don't worry about vacancy. You don't have to worry about how much money am I going to have to spend to re-tenant the premises when a tenant moves out. What condition is it? Those are things that are management intense. So you want to try to start saying, okay, 20-unit apartment building, there's a lot of management involved with that. Maybe sell that property. Single family homes, start thinking about selling those, and uh, uh, buying, a single tenant restaurant like a McDonald's or something, where, you're just going to, yeah, absolutely right, a coupon for 20 years. And those
No,
are what everybody is looking for when people are buying a property and doing a 1031 exchange. So they're very marketable.
um, earlier on in the podcast, you were making a reference specifically, and it kind of jumped out at me. You mentioned about a client maybe having a property. I think you said in St. Louis.
Yeah.
To that end, I think it's important that we identify the fact that while you're located in beautiful Agoura Hills, California, you're able to work with clients all over the country.
Yes.
And that's so it's not like Bruce is limited to just really dealing with people in the Conejo Valley or San Fernando Valley. You're able to work with clients from the Pacific Northwest to South Florida, from Orange County, San Diego, and I know they're thinking about San Diego. I know you had a pretty big case down there a little while ago. Even New England states, Midwest, all over.
Yeah, I had the fortunate background that for a company I worked for, we first, bought hotels around the country, almost every market. I was running a home building company in the Southeast. So I've been exposed to just about every state. Yes, but again, I represent the client. I don't act as a broker because I feel that, yeah, if there's a property in St. Louis, there's going to be a broker who knows that market well. What I'll do is help the owner identify who that right broker is to maybe sell the property.
Hmm.
Vice versa, I may decide that there may be a better broker to help them identify what property to buy. Because sometimes selling and buying a property are very different skill sets.
So you're effectively a trusted advisor for that client to help provide them with some clarity and guidance before they jump into the deep end of the pool
Yes.
and finding out they're jumped in with a bunch of sharks on it inadvertently.
Yes, because typically most brokers are going to say, I want to, oh, let me sell the property and let me then find a property. So you want to make sure that everybody's interests are aligned.
Well, Bruce, definitely that's your role. Before we wrap up, I do want to make a point here. Uh, and it was something I kind of brought up earlier, and that is regarding the wealth management aspect of this whole thing. Proper wealth management is crucial to ensuring that aging baby boomers understand their liquidity needs because liquidity is everything at the end of the day, and how their revised real estate portfolio after working with Bruce fits into their overall financial goals. So, for example, think about the individual whose kids say, you know what, we really don't want to be involved in your real estate holdings. It may be that point where some assets like Bruce, the management intense properties, they just simply liquidate, right? So again, it's important that they do financial planning and figure out what kind of liquidity is required. The other thing I would talk about, as Bruce mentioned, a lot of real estate for liability purposes are held inside of an LLC. It could be that this individual may not really have been exposed to an estate planning attorney who's really skilled at advising them. It becomes essential on how to determine to pass on these assets in a tax efficient manner. If you're like in a state like California, you could be inadvertently, the family could be set in the crosshairs of a nasty probate issue, right? Tax planning, also another critical piece when selling or transferring property. You got capital gains, you got inheritance taxes. They can significantly impact the value of the estate. And lastly, risk management, whether it's through insurance, liability litigation, or just diversifying holdings, it's often overlooked. A big part of managing real estate as they age. So these are some of the topics that I just want to make sure that people are thinking about in addition to the real estate assets that they're used to working with. There's a lot of other pieces to the puzzle as well. And that's where, we all can collaborate and work together. Before we wrap up, Bruce, any final thoughts?
You know, it's very important, I think, as you pointed out, that anybody who's has a significant real estate portfolio really needs to start thinking about the legacy, but they also have to start planning, and it needs important. You just can't have an accountant. I think you need to bring in a wealth advisor. You need to bring in an estate planning attorney because they will all bring in, and it's not an expensive proposition because it's you bring in somebody and they put together a business plan or they say, here's what I can do. At least you have it ready so that if you are going to then set it up, it's done. And I think people forget that you got to plan. If you don't plan, I forget that quote, but if you you don't plan, you fail.
Those who fail to plan, plan to fail, right?
Yes, yes. And I think it's just important that people realize that you today is the best day to start planning for tomorrow.
It's never the wrong time to do the right thing. Bruce, we've included, for those watching in today, we've included your information on the screen, but there's those listening in on the podcast format. Could you share with them what is the best way for them to contact you? Because I suspect we're going to have people interested in learning more and want to get a hold of you. What's the best way for them to do that?
Just call me, 818-521-6635. Or you can text, you can call, or email. It's bstein at realprop partners, REALPROP partners.com.
Well, again, Bruce, thanks a lot. Bruce Stein is in beautiful Agoura Hills, California. He is otherwise known as the Paladin of Real Estate. He's with Real Property Partners. Bruce, thank you so much for making time for us today. Great to see you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Wayne. Have a great day.
I look forward to bringing you the 3 Questions podcast, and I hope you find them educational and informative. Please consider liking this video and subscribing to our podcast and YouTube channels. And to receive a notification when our latest episodes have been posted, please click on the notifications bell. Lastly, to schedule an online Zoom consultation with me to discuss your wealth management needs, please click on the link in the description box below, www.onecapital.com/meet with Wayne. Thank you, and we'll see you soon.